In the heart of Enugu, the sun was just rising, spilling gold over the whitewashed walls of Chief Victor Lawson's mansion. The air smelled of fresh cola nuts and burning incense. Today was the day everyone had been talking about for months. Today, Chief Victor, a man of wealth, titles, and respect, would marry his beautiful wife, Elena Brooks. Victor was not an ordinary man. His title as Ozo gave him respect in the village and the city alike. People whispered about his wealth, his influence, and how he could make life easy for anyone he chose. But for him, nothing mattered more than Elena. She was strong, humble, and unlike any woman he had ever met. She managed her little boutique, handled her family duties, and yet always had time to smile at him. "Elena, my love," Victor said, holding her delicate hands as they walked through the flower-lined path toward the waiting elders. "You look more beautiful than the sunrise itself." Elena's cheeks burned red, but her eyes shone with pride and love. "Victor, I am lucky to be yours. My name is Patience. This is a story about love and betrayal." The ceremony was a mix of laughter, drumming, and ululations. Women danced in bright wrappers, their beads jingling with every step. Men in their traditional agbadas strutted proudly. Cola nuts were broken, blessings were given, and the elders prayed for a marriage that would last a lifetime. Yet, behind the smiles, there were whispers. Chief Victor's mother, Mrs. Lawson, sat with her lips pressed tight, her eyes sharp and calculating. She did not like Elena. The woman was too old to bear a child soon, and her heart was already set on finding someone younger, someone who could give her son a legacy. "Why would my son marry a woman 10 years older than him?" Mrs. Lawson muttered under her breath to a friend beside her. "He is a man of title. He deserves someone who can give him sons and daughters to continue the family line." Victor heard none of this. Today, he was blind to criticism, deaf to whispers. Today, his love for Elena filled his chest with warmth. He held her close, kissed her forehead, and promised himself that no one, mother, friend, or family, would ever take her happiness away. The day went on with laughter, food, and music. Guests cheered as the couple danced. But deep inside, a quiet shadow lingered. No one dared mention it aloud, not yet. The question of children, the question that would one day test their love, hung quietly in the air like the last note of a drum that fades too soon. For now, though, it was perfect. Elena's smile, Victor's pride, and the beauty of the day were all that mattered. The future would wait. But even in this moment of joy, Mrs. Lawson's mind was already plotting, and the seeds of conflict had quietly been sown. The first morning after their wedding, Elena woke to the soft sound of birds singing outside the window of Victor's mansion. Sunlight spilled into the room, touching the white sheets and glinting on the gold accents of the walls. She turned and saw Victor still asleep beside her, his hand resting gently on her waist. A soft smile spread across her face. She ran her fingers over his arm and leaned in to brush her lips lightly against his shoulder. He stirred, opening his eyes and meeting her gaze. "Good morning, my queen," he whispered, his voice warm and rough with sleep. "Good morning, my king," she replied, her hand tracing the outline of his shoulder. "Did you sleep well?" "Better now," he said, pulling her a little closer. "Being married, it feels like a dream." Elena laughed softly, brushing her hair from her face. "I feel the same. I never imagined I could be this happy." For a while, they just lay there, wrapped in each other's arms. There was no rush, no worry, no expectations, just the quiet comfort of being together. Later, they went downstairs for breakfast. The kitchen smelled of fresh bread, eggs, and brewed coffee. Victor had already arranged for the chef to prepare her favorite meal, eggs with tomatoes, fried plantains, and hot coffee. "You didn't have to," Elena said, surprised. "I know," he smiled, taking her hand across the table. "I wanted to. You deserve every good thing in this life." They talked about everything. Plans for their home, the little garden Elena wanted to start, the clothes she would buy, the boutique she hoped to run. Laughter came easily. Every glance, every touch felt new and exciting. But married life wasn't always calm. That afternoon, they had their first small argument. "Why didn't you tell me you moved the painting?" Elena said, her voice tinged with frustration. Victor looked puzzled. "I just thought it looked better on the other wall. I wanted to surprise you." "I like surprises," she admitted, but sometimes it feels like you make decisions without me." He nodded, taking her hand. "I'm sorry. I'll be better. I want this home to be ours, together." And just like that, the tension dissolved. They laughed, their argument fading in the warmth of their love. As the days went on, the couple settled into a rhythm. They went shopping together, laughed over small mistakes in the kitchen, and spent hours talking late into the night. Sometimes, they disagreed about small things, the arrangement of furniture, how to spend the weekend, but it was always followed by apologies, hugs, and gentle kisses that reminded them how much they loved each other. One evening, after a long day of meetings for Victor and boutique work for Elena, they returned home. Elena was tired but smiling. "Victor," she said softly, "let's just stay in tonight. No work, no visitors. Just us." He agreed, and they sank into the sofa, Elena curled against his chest. "I miss this," she said, tracing circles on his arm. "Just being with you alone." "I missed you too," he whispered, his lips brushing hers gently. The kiss was tender and full of warmth. He held her closer, and she rested her head against his shoulder, feeling the quiet strength of him beside her. Later, in the privacy of their bedroom, they sat together, talking, laughing, and sharing soft touches, holding hands, leaning against each other, and sharing warmth that only newlyweds could know. They spoke in whispers, telling each other dreams and hopes, every gesture filled with love and affection. "You are beautiful," Victor said, holding her close. "Every part of you. I am the luckiest man alive." Elena rested her head on his chest, listening to his heartbeat. "I feel the same. I never thought I could be this happy." Days turned into weeks, and their love only grew stronger. They walked hand in hand in the evenings, attended small family gatherings, and spent quiet nights at home watching movies or sharing stories about their dreams. Sometimes, Elena would tease him playfully. "You think I don't notice how much time you spend in your office?" she asked one night. "I work hard, so we can have everything we want," he replied, grinning. "But if you want me, I'll drop everything." "I do want you," she whispered, leaning in for a gentle kiss. They laughed, held each other, and loved each other in ways that were quiet but deeply meaningful. Even in disagreements, there was always understanding, patience, and tenderness. Life, even at its happiest, came with small challenges. They discovered the effort it took to balance family expectations, busy schedules, and personal space. Arguments arose over money, time, and little misunderstandings, but every challenge only brought them closer. Victor would surprise her with thoughtful gifts, a scarf, a book, or a delicate necklace. Elena would cook his favorite meals when he returned from long meetings, leaving little notes around the house for him to find. Their home became a place of laughter, warmth, and love. At night, when the house was quiet, they would lie together, arms entwined, sharing dreams and hopes into the darkness. Every touch, every whispered word, reminded them of their bond and how much they cherished each other. This was the first chapter of their life together, the time before challenges, before the world intruded, the time when love was pure, simple, and consuming. And in those days, Elena and Victor knew one thing. They had each other, and nothing else mattered. Years passed, and Elena and Victor's marriage continued with love, laughter, and quiet happiness. But beneath the smiles, a shadow began to grow. Elena had not become pregnant, and the whispers that Mrs. Lawson had always held in her heart were no longer quiet. One afternoon, Victor returned from work to the sound of his mother's voice in the living room. Elena was arranging flowers on the table when he entered. "Mother," he asked, confused, "what are you doing here?" "I've come to speak with my son," Mrs. Lawson said, her tone sharp. "I cannot stay silent anymore. It is not good for a man like you to wait while nothing happens." Elena froze, a soft ache building in her chest. She looked down at the flowers, pretending to straighten them, though her hands trembled slightly. I don't understand," Victor said carefully. "Elena and I are happy. Everything is fine." Mrs. Lawson shook her head. "Fine. You are a man of title, Victor. You need a child. How long have you been married?" 5 years. And still nothing? Do you think your family line will continue with this? "I love my wife," Victor said firmly, his voice rising slightly. "Elena is everything to me. Why does it matter what anyone else thinks?" "It matters, my son. Mrs. Lawson insisted. "I will not see you grow old and alone without someone to carry on the family name. You need a wife who can give you children. That is what a man of title deserves." Elena's eyes filled with tears, but she stayed silent. She could feel the tension in the room, thick and suffocating, but Victor's hand found hers under the table. He squeezed it, silently telling her he was on her side. "I will not throw away my happiness for anyone," Victor said, his voice firm and unwavering. "You are my mother, but my wife is my heart. I will not let anyone take that away from me." Mrs. Lawson's lips pressed tighter. She looked at Elena with a mixture of disdain and calculation, then turned sharply to Victor. "Very well, but know this, my son. I will not sit outside this house forever. I will move in with you, and I will see things done my way." Victor's face fell slightly, but he did not argue. "If you must come, Mother, you are welcome. But I ask that you respect our home, our marriage, and Elena. She is my wife, and I will not allow her to be hurt in my house." Mrs. Lawson smiled faintly, a cold, calculating smile. "We will see, my son. We will see." Weeks later, Mrs. Lawson moved into their home. At first, she tried to be quiet, helping with meals and keeping to her own room. But soon, her presence became a constant weight. She critiqued the way Elena arranged the furniture, commented on the food, and watched Victor closely, waiting for any sign of weakness. One evening, Elena found herself in the kitchen, chopping vegetables, when Mrs. Lawson entered. "You should not use that knife that way," Mrs. Lawson said sharply. "It is dangerous. And why is the pepper so hot? Do you want to make the house smell like fire?" "I'm sorry, Mother," Elena said softly, trying not to let her voice shake. "I just want everything to be perfect for Victor." Mrs. Lawson sighed, as if the sound of frustration could fill the room. "You cannot make everything perfect, child. Some things are not meant for you." Elena bit her lip, holding back tears. She wanted to speak, to defend herself, but she knew it would anger Mrs. Lawson and make the situation worse. Then, one afternoon, the ultimate shock came. Mrs. Lawson invited another woman into the house, Lydia Hart, a young, beautiful, elegant woman, barely 25. She was dressed in bright clothes and smiled too easily, a perfect picture of charm. "Elena," Mrs. Lawson said casually, "this is Lydia. She will help in the house, and perhaps help Victor with the family line." Elena's hands froze. She looked at Victor, searching for a spark of defiance, but he only stared, his face tight, unsure of how to handle the situation. "Mother, why?" Victor asked, his voice low but tense. "Because, my son," Mrs. Lawson said softly, almost sweetly, "some things cannot wait. I only want what is best for you." Lydia stepped forward, her eyes bright. "It's nice to meet you, Elena. I hope we can all be friends." Elena forced a small smile, but inside, her heart felt heavy, like the walls of the house were closing in. She could feel her marriage, her sanctuary, threatened, not by Victor, but by his mother's relentless schemes. That night, she sat on the balcony, looking at the city lights, trying to breathe. Victor joined her, wrapping his arms around her. "I will not let her take you from me," he whispered, his lips brushing her hair. "Lydia, my mother, none of it matters. You are my wife. Always." Elena leaned into him, feeling both relief and fear. Relief that Victor was unwavering, fear of the battle that was just beginning. She knew life would never be the same, and that the years of happiness they had known were about to be tested like never before. The house was full, the walls echoed with tension, and the shadow of Mrs. Lawson loomed large. But in the middle of it all, Elena and Victor still had each other. And for now, that was the only thing that mattered. The house had changed. Where once there was laughter and warmth, now tension filled every hallway, every room. Mrs. Lawson's presence was constant, her sharp eyes following Elena. Lydia moved freely, always smiling, always near, making sure Elena felt uncomfortable. Elena tried to keep her routine. She cooked, cleaned, managed the boutique work, and tried to smile, but every step felt heavy. She noticed how Lydia lingered in the kitchen, always chatting, always pretending to help. Mrs. Lawson watched her silently, judging her every move. One evening, Elena found Victor in the living room, going over documents. Her voice was calm, but her chest ached. "Victor, we need to talk," she said. He looked up, trying to smile, though fatigue shadowed his face. "Of course, my love. What is it?" "I feel trapped," she said, her hands tightening around the edge of the sofa. "This house, your mother, Lydia being here. I cannot breathe. I cannot feel at home." Victor's expression softened. He took her hands. "Elena, I understand. But trust me, nothing has changed. You are my wife. Always. I love you more than anything." "I trust you," she said, swallowing back the lump in her throat. "But I feel like I'm losing my place here every day. Your mother, she does not stop. And Lydia, I do not feel safe anymore." He hugged her tightly. "I will handle it. I promise. You are my heart. I will not let anyone take that from us." For a moment, she leaned into him, feeling warmth, but anxiety remained. Days passed. Tension grew. Mrs. Lawson subtly manipulated every situation. Lydia smiled, laughed, and always positioned herself where Elena could see. Elena avoided confrontation, but the strain was visible. Then one evening, Elena came home early from the boutique. She had noticed Victor acting distracted all week. Late nights in the office, strange calls, uneasy glances. Her heart sank. She wanted to share a quiet evening with him. She entered the house quietly. The main hall was dim. As she walked to their bedroom, she saw a light under the door. Her stomach tightened. She pushed the door open and froze. Lydia was there. And Victor was with her. Elena's chest burned. Her hands shook. Her eyes filled with tears. The betrayal crushed her. She had trusted him, loved him, stood by him. And now, this moment destroyed everything she believed in. "Elena," Victor said. But Elena did not wait. She turned and ran, not stopping until she reached the street outside, the night air cold on her skin. Her anger and pain consumed her. She did not look back. She did not think. Inside the house, Victor sank onto the sofa, trying to clear his head. He realized, too late, what had happened. Lydia had added something to the meal she prepared earlier, a substance that made him lose control of his judgment. He had not fallen easily, but he had been manipulated. His mother had planned this all along, using Lydia to trap him. Lydia stood nearby, a faint smile on her face. "It is done," she said softly. "Everything your mother wanted, it has happened." Mrs. Lawson appeared behind her, calm and satisfied. "This is necessary," she said. "He is a man of title. He will do what is expected." But outside, Elena sat on the curb, crying. She did not know that in that very moment, something had already changed inside her body. The years of worry, the pressure, and the stress had hidden the miracle she had been waiting for. She was pregnant. Elena had no idea. She only knew the anger and betrayal that made her leave the home she loved. She had no idea the child she longed for was already on the way. Victor remained inside, realizing the depth of his mistake. Lydia and Mrs. Lawson had succeeded in their plan. He had betrayed the woman who loved him most. And Elena had walked into the night, carrying the most important secret of all. The house was quiet, but the tension remained. The betrayal, the anger, and the pain were only the beginning of what would come. And Elena, unaware she was finally carrying the child she had waited for, disappeared into the darkness, leaving her husband and mother-in-law to deal with the consequences of their actions. Thank you for watching this story. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like. Share your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more.